Hey everybody, I get questions all the time about what can I do besides going into mechanical part on my air conditioning to keep it up and running properly. Now, some of the things I'm going to bring up are basic things you can do. The other things are stuff that you may have to have some help with. So I have 9 tips. Uh, and also, if you stay to the end, I have 2 bonus tips that you can actually do too. So let's go ahead and get started. I like to use PowerPoint. It's just one of my favorite things to do. And so we'll get going on it. So I'm going to go ahead and share it now. So like I said before, I get questions all the time, and I'll go over things later on to tips on buying cars, uh, and just some general stuff. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But I consider this as Marty's AC tips. Uh, One of the things you can do, and this is something it's fairly simple. You need to be running your air conditioning at least weekly, for maybe 10-15 minutes, even if it's just on the defrost mode. That way it keeps the refrigerant moving around, and also your refrigerant has a lubricant in it, and it keeps the compressor nice and lubricated too. It's just like not running your car for very long. It will start making some noises. It may not perform greatly. If you have your car sit over an extended period of times, the gasoline, if it's a gasoline car, will actually go bad, and your car won't run properly. So it's a good idea to run your air conditioning at least weekly. Like I said, just maybe 10 or 15 minutes. That way you'll end up keeping the refrigerant moving around with the lubricant and all like that, and getting all the parts working properly. The other thing that, yeah, I see this all the time when people bring their car in for an AC service, and they're complaining about airflow, and this is nothing out of the norm. The AC filters, which is what they call a cabin filter, it's really some people don't even know they have one, but the AC filter will get packed with debris, and then it cannot circulate the air properly. And as soon as you change that out, it's almost like a blower, like a leaf blower, just blowing a lot of air out of the ducts and stuff like that. And one of the other things, it would be a good idea. There's some special, they're fairly cheap. You get them off of Amazon. There's some special brushes that can actually clean the vents out a little bit too. So there's a couple other things too. Now, there are chemicals that you can use in the AC system, but be very careful about that, because there's a lot of caustic chemicals, and some of them ask you to actually roll down the windows and step away after you put the chemicals in. So you may want to have your mechanic do that. The other thing is, don't pre-cool your car. Your car's air conditioning works best when your car is moving. It will not work as efficiently just sitting there waiting for it to cool down. When you do turn on the air conditioning, start the drive, get the air conditioning going. You can even have the windows down. And after a while, you want to close the front windows and keep the back windows if you have a 4 windows in the car. And that way it can actually move the hot air out. So that there's maybe have the windows down for about, I would say maybe a couple minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so, and then start closing up the windows. That'll help get the car a little bit cooler too. And on your mechanical systems, your AC systems that do not have the climate controls, where there is a set and go type thing, you want to put your AC on the coldest setting, and then this circulates your AC blower to your comfort zone. It's the AC works really the best when you have it on the lowest setting or all the way over the coldest, and then at the lowest blower mode. That way it gives the AC time to circulate the air and pull the hot air out of the cabin area. So it's best that you run it, and it runs more efficiently that way. It sounds kind of strange, but it's best to keep your car clean. If you have, you know, yeah, if you have a car that's, not in clean shape, you can actually get debris into the vents because remember, well, one of the things you need to understand is air gets circulated from the outside, and it also gets circulated from the inside, and that debris can actually be, the dirt and dust can actually go up into the ducting area, which is its job is to keep things clean, but also you can start getting bacteria to start growing. And that will actually, you'll start getting the smells and stuff like that too. So it's best to regularly vacuum out your car, clean that little ducting, vents and stuff like that, keep that debris down. And, of course, window shades are a great thing. Some places you can't have your car windows tinted without getting a ticket. It's, you can get the front window shade, the rear window shades, and the side window shades. Just be cautious of where you're at. And if you're doing the window tint, be careful. Some laws say that you can't have window tint, and some highways are that way too. So it's a great idea because now it's going to reflect the heat out instead of the having it kind of go inside the car itself. So anytime you have the sun just beating down, it raises the temperature inside the vehicle. Also, the vinyl and the interior materials will start actually venting too, and it can actually cause the windows to start getting that film on them also. Now, this one you may need a little bit of help with, but in front of the radiator on air conditioning cars, there was what they call a condenser. And the condenser is right out in front. And the airflow, it's supposed to, goes across the condenser and then goes to the radiator. Now that, debris off the road, dirt, leaves, and all kinds of things can actually get packed into the condenser. The condenser is what pulls the heat away from the inside of the car without getting too deep into how air conditioning works. And you need to keep this clean. You may need to have some help with this. I generally just take a garden hose on the backside of the condenser and just kind of wash it off that way. There are brushes you can use, but you got to be very careful when you do it. The fins are very sensitive, and that's part of the heat transfer part of it. So you want to keep the condenser clean, keep the debris from piling up. Sometimes you get some of these cars that you'll just see leaves and everything packed onto it. And it depends really where you drive to, but you want to do that kind of regularly. And if you're driving in a minivan or something like that, even as some of the full cargo vans, SUVs, it's not a bad idea to have air curtains across it, AC curtains. And this will help keep the interior temperature down also, just like I was talking about the window shades, very similar, but this can be an actual normal, fit where it's actually permanent versus when you're doing your car where it's going to have a temporary time of shade. And when you're driving, you take that shade off. The other thing too is to park smartly. Try to find shaded areas to park your car, especially when it's got the sun beating down on it. It will help, minimize that. Of course, keep the shades up and stuff like that too. So these were kind of 9 special, tips. I'd really like to get into the bonus side of things too. So one of the things that if you have a automatic climate control system, you want to set it and go. You remember I said on the mechanical ones, you bring it down to the lowest. Well, your AC system on your automatic climate controls are very, very smart. They'll cycle it down to the coldest setting and get the inside of the temperature up to where it's supposed to be, and then it'll kind of bring it back to the temperature you decided to have inside. And you can have some of these systems that actually have what I call zone control. We call it zone control in the field, where you can each passenger will actually have, at least four zones, and sometimes it's only 2, where they definitely have a control for each person. Now, the other thing I didn't really get into, but if you're driving with passengers and you have the old system where it's a mechanical type system, you really want to make sure that you keep it off the recirculation part, because then you don't have the airflow going back to your passengers. So you want to make sure you keep it off there. The other bonus I have here, so I have 2 bonuses right here, folks. The second bonus is really important. This is where you're going to have to get some help. If you are not certified to do this, I would not recommend you go out and get one of those can kits from the AutoZones, your different parts houses, because you do not know what kind of pressures are in the system, and you need to get it serviced. I would say once a year at the maximum, but every 6 months, especially when you're in hotter climates. And you're in hotter climates, you want to do it probably every 6 months. The other thing too, folks, is that your air conditioning doesn't just work on cooling the vehicle. It actually is a support mechanism for your defroster too. It dehumidifies the moisture off the windshield, and your AC system will work. Your defroster will work better that way. So I hope these tips were beneficial to you. If they were, please make sure you leave a comment. If you have any other tips on to keep the AC cool in your car, please leave a comment down below. And if you like this kind of stuff, please let me know by liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you, and I will be bringing more tips as we go along. Bye for now.